Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm going to play defense tonight for the Capitals, everyone. Me and Zachary are going to be a pairing, everyone. Hi, everyone. Don't let Ted out there, Joe. Don't.
That's a good bit. I like that one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Don't let the owner play defense.
Yeah, Joe. Top line defense, Ted and Zach. Joe.
You wouldn't like that. He'd get booed. He wouldn't like
Might
doing
get
that.
booed. Yes. When he gives up a goal to Panarin, when he spins him around.
Zabinajad just makes him look dumb. Yeah.
That's right.
That might happen tonight.
Stop skating so fast. Stop it. Okay, let's see.
That's a good sports radio bit for like July. What owner would play the sport that they own the best at? Magic, we have Magic here. Like
that's a little unfair. That's a little unfair.
Not a former athlete, I guess.
Yeah, it'd have to be, someone that looks like me.
Yeah.
It has to be the Josh Harris.
Right.
Who was an athlete.
That's right.
Actually.
Right, yeah.
So
save that for July. Shelve that for July.
Fine. Yeah. When we're really bored. Okay.
All-Star Week.
I'm bored with this topic, but I'll talk about it again because I have to. Jayden World, 48 hours away
We're
from
so
settling
close.
this.
We're so close.
Just ending this.
Uh-huh.
They'll never do it. I so badly want them to flip the calendar and make the draft go before free agency because of this.
No. Because
I think I think this one is even more maddening. Because we're the pivot point, which is rare. I think we're singularly feeling it.
Where the magic starts.
Correct.
Yes.
And also, our people have a very tight ship over there and won't tell anybody what they're doing.
That's why. Yeah.
Okay?
No, it's
and the weird part is
paranoia.
We know what's happening before you. Like it's not in question who's going number one. So you could leak out that you're taking Jayden if you really wanted to.
It's Peter's paranoia.
It is. Peter's paranoia. John Thompson is looking down on this going, that's how you do it.
It's a man after his own heart.
Yep. I'm going to black out all the windows. Nobody can see in. Nobody's watching practice.
Peter's paranoia sounds good. I feel like there's another one there that should be good.
He's just, it's funny. A lot of the insiders who knew him from San Francisco days and other days said this is the way he was just in general. Now, granted, he wasn't the GM there, so he wasn't the spokesperson. But as a quote unquote source, they said he was pretty locked up throughout all of this.
Yeah.
And everyone keeps guessing what he's going to do based on things that he's done in the past. And I actually thought it was really funny. Someone pointed this out. I thought this was really funny. Remember a few years ago, San Francisco was putting out there that they were going to select Mac Jones when they traded up. Remember that?
Right. Yep.
And then they took Trey Lance, right?
And Shanahan laughed.
And laughed at
Literally
everybody.
laughed. It was like, how was it going to take that guy?
And someone pointed out, it was just somebody on Twitter going, it's funny, like for the insiders going, knowing what I know about Adam Peters, he'll take Drake May over Jayden Daniels. You took Trey Lance over Mac Jones.
Right.
What are you talking about? Actually, he's not inclined to take the really athletic player. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So nobody knows anything.
That's right.
And I think that's what's kind of infuriating about the whole thing. I just want answers.
You're not going to get them, though.
I would think, I'm hoping by Thursday that we know. Because I think by then,
You're not going to know.
Schefter will say at some point in the middle of the day, the Bears are going to select Caleb Williams. Not that we're not surprised by this, but that is what is going to happen Thursday night when Roger Goodell opens up the draft. And at that point, maybe, just maybe, please tell me what you're going to do. Because the suspense is killing all of us.
They're gonna see this
I haven't
out.
slept in weeks. I can't believe it. I don't know why.
Why would they let it slip now? You're almost to the finish line. They're gonna see this through.
It's too much.
You know what the best part
It's
is?
too much.
Here's the best part. They're not gonna tell you who it is, and they're gonna take the full freaking 15 minutes to make the pick too.
Because they're going to see if the Raiders are going to go nuts.
Well, yes. Or the Giants or the Vikings.
Well, we can't trade Jayden Daniels to the Giants. That can't happen.
Sure.
That can't happen.
Sure, but
what if he ends up being good? Then that is the curse of curses if that happens. You ship him off to the Raiders, All's well that ends well.
Well,
You'll never see him again.
Well, it wouldn't be for him. The report from Jordan Renan today is that they want to trade up for Drake May.
Yes, that's what the Giants want.
Yeah.
That I do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But we also
That'd
get
be
Jayden.
the ultimate hedge, though. You're really saying to the Giants, have them, and the Giants are going to go, oh, okay.
Well, you'd have to believe that that's what they do.
Right, sure. Yeah.
You have to believe that that's what they're going to do. Then you have to believe the Patriots take Jayden or trade out.
Yes,
one of
correct.
the two.
Yeah.
Then you have to assume that Arizona and the Chargers and Harbaugh doesn't love JJ so much that he takes him at 5, but moves on and takes Joe Alt, wide receiver, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then we take JJ at 6. And I guess we're all happy because we got stuff with JJ.
I'd be fine with that.
I'd
be fine with that.
Like you got an extra
I fully
first-round pick or
embrace
2.
JJ now. I was so against it 2 weeks ago, but
You're going to have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's this
This
true,
is lesson learned from the head coaching process was just enjoy, just embrace the idea that Dan Quinn might be your head coach in advance.
The other
just
thing,
embrace it in advance so you're not disappointed if it happens.
The other thing with JJ is I've now heard too many of the main guys go, his pro day was so good. Everyone's really impressed by him. This isn't like a farce that this guy's this good.
No,
Everyone loves him too.
He's going to go in the top half of the first round.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
He may be the third quarterback taken. We'll see.
Right.
The second quarterback taken, in my opinion, is going to be Jayden Daniels.
Correct, yeah.
I believe he's going to be selected by us, unless someone comes along with something that makes us move. But the reports today are, and they're not even really reports, like they were reiterations of people are still calling the Commanders, trying to get the pick.
They're like,
and
nah.
The one thing he's told us through all of this is, we're not trading out of it. That happened last week.
Yeah.
He said we're comfortable where we are and we can't see a scenario. And he can't say definitively because if the Raiders go 10 first-round picks, then you're going to take it.
That's right. Right.
But short of them doing something so insane, you're going to make the selection. And that would lead you to believe it has to be Jayden Daniels because that's who they want. Mm-hmm. And if the only way they're going to convince us to even think about a deal is they have to do something that is otherworldly.
That's right.
And even the Patriots, the reporting from Mike Reese today, who's covered the Patriots forever, was they're open, but they want a crazy deal.
Yes.
And they're not getting that, so they're not going to trade it. And so if they're not getting it, we're not getting it.
Right. Correct. Exactly.
So everybody's sending the normal deal to try to get to this spot. And unfortunately for them, we need a quarterback too.
That's right. Yeah, no, I was going to say that's
the real problem. If Arizona had the second pick, Arizona would be like, who wants it, boys?
It'd be auction ends 6:59 on Thursday night.
They are right. They missed out.
Correct.
Winning that game against the Eagles was a mistake.
It's a terrible idea.
Because they would be sitting pretty trading. They still may be able to trade for someone who wants either May or McCarthy.
Maybe, but I mean, I still don't. It's not going to be.
Yeah. Nobody's going to give up the world to get McCarthy because then their fans go nuts.
Right.
Nuts. And he better be great.
Right.
McCarthy said today, I don't know if you saw this, he said he'd love to follow in Tom Brady's footsteps. So
of course he
put
did.
it out
Of course
there.
he did. I mean,
go ahead and pick me.
Michigan guy, of course.
And even went on to say, I've talked to Tom about a lot of this already.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear about our favorite quarterback here, what he was saying on Rich Eisen? John Beck? Did you see some of his clips at all?
Well, he's been coaching May, right?
No, Jayden.
Right. John Beck has become a very well-renowned quarterback coach, actually. And he's been working. I knew he was working with him. What did he say about it?
So he was just saying about how, Jayden knows what he has to work on, and he even they would rib him about the whole sliding thing of hey, when are you going to learn how to slide? He's like, yeah, I know, I've got to work on that type of situation. And then
because you're going to die.
Yeah, right, correct. And then also, this is actually just more nerd football talk. He said the best part about working with him was the LSU coaches would actually contact him and go, hey, here's what we want you to work on with him. Mm-hmm. And so I loved that part of the thing, that they were all kind of an open, this is what we need.
Here's the thing about him, and I just want to put, because the only thing that got in the way is Topgolf. We were zooming towards this until Topgolf happened. And I can't even believe that it's still a possibility that it's a problem. But I think Even Schefter said that's been smoothed over.
Yeah, right.
Peter Schrager went on McAfee today and said, every person I'm talking to says they expect him to take him. The very vaguely worded PR statement of he's prepared to go wherever, to which I would say back to the PR person, I do think it's right to not assume you will be the second overall
I thought it was fine.
pick.
I thought it was fine.
Right, to not, because that's presumptuous.
Caleb had to do the same thing. And I think like the tones matched, and this is the modern NFL now. Like
Don't presume.
Burrow had to do it too, where he was like, don't listen to my dad. I'm going wherever, and I'd love to go number one. You know, like
I'd love to go number one with whoever has that selection.
This is the modern now when you're one of these top picks, how the tone is. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't put stock into it, is what I'm saying.
As long as truthfully everything is smoothed over with him and his representatives, and he's come to terms with, and this is the part he can't control, he's not going to Las Vegas because they can't acquire him.
Yeah.
They would have to do something so utterly ridiculous to get him because their pick's not high enough. Because if we give up on him and give it to Vegas, they have to make it so beyond worth our while because we're not going to get a quarterback. We might get Penix.
Yeah.
Might with their pick. Might not. And then I don't even know if we want Penix. You know, that's the other issue there.
Right.
Like, what if we don't really want him? We already traded Sam Howell, guys. Like, the die's been cast. We're moving on
It's a
to
monumental
a quarter.
opportunity.
Yes, it's at number 2. We have a monumental opportunity.
I would laugh if the Commanders Twitter tweeted that out when they pick him.
Even Glenn Youngkin can't screw this one up. There's no Louise.
Does Louise like Jayden Daniels?
Louise, if the Raiders get the pick from us, we're going to start calling Antonio Pierce Louise.
Yeah.
Somehow Louise got in the way of the whole thing.
Antonio in Vegas.
Yeah, Antonio in Vegas somehow got the pick out of our hands. It's all turned back around suddenly to everybody I talk to believes it's going to happen. And I keep just going back to if you watch the tape, it's impossible not to land on, just off the play, he's the right player of the 3. The JJ one is a little more complicated than May, I think. May, I agree, is a really good prospect. I also don't understand why he lost to so many average teams last year. I don't understand all the inaccuracy, especially when it's a lot of short throws. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it to the scouts and the coaches who, because everybody's got a podcast now, you'll hear all of them kind of say the same thing. He's got a lot of mechanics to clean up.
Yeah.
Hal did too. But he's got a lot of mechanics to clean up. And it's not like it can't happen, but we kind of need to win.
Right.
I'm not here for that. I don't think anybody's here for that right in the here and now. McCarthy is different. No one says that about him. And secondarily, I trust the scouting community here. They're the ones saying the only reason why nobody was going crazy about him was because of the offense he played in. And he was willing to play in that.
That's right.
Which I actually think is a positive about him.
Yeah, it's becoming a talking point with him now.
It's a positive.
Yeah.
That, you can't fool the scouts. They'll see it on the tape, and then they'll work him out, and they'll realize what he can and cannot do. But the whole idea of that he's Purdy in this, I think that's getting overblown. He's a higher-level athlete than Purdy, who was running a very scripted scheme that didn't profile him. And so I'll hear that part out from the experts, where they say, you got to trust us on this one. This guy's ready to go. You just didn't see it because he's a team player. And he played within the construct of this team. And, oh, by the way, he won a ton. And don't discount that. Michigan hasn't won a national championship since the 90s. Don't discount that. He won. Go look at his record. He won. Don't discount it. And I will buy. In the same way I'll say to May, I kind of don't get how you lost some of the games you lost last year.
Correct.
That's a little hard to explain to me.
Beck actually talked about JJ too, and his comments on JJ were actually really good because they were saying they went out of their way to make sure to practice the passing game every week in case they had to start leaning on him. And he said that's what happened in the Alabama game. They had to actually lean on him to win that. And that's where I kind of flipped on the whole JJ conversation because he
was clutch in that game.
Right. And so and that's Beck, whose opinion I respect. And I'm going, you and I have had this conversation about May where we're circling that Virginia game going, how'd you lose that one, man? Like, that's a terrible team. No offense, Virginia, but they were having a bad season, and you looked bad, and you're also missing some of these easy throws. Like, I'm looking at JJ now, too, going, I think he is their, the two choice, if not, overtaking
If you're
him.
not going to go with Jayden.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Which still, in the end, his ability to escape, his ability to run, his growth as a player, I think his experience is a positive, not a negative.
Yeah.
I don't buy this whole idea of he can't consistently get better. And to what John Beck said and what I've heard about him and everything I've read and seen, it sounds like he works his you-know-what off to get better, and it's important to him.
Yeah.
And that is not that I'm saying the other two don't, but like that's a really good sign. He doesn't just lean on being a very good athlete. It matters to him to get better and better and better. So knowing that as the backdrop, trust that he hasn't reached a ceiling here, that he's going to enter a new league and he's going to get new challenges, and he better learn how to slide, because if he didn't learn his lesson against those Alabama players that are all going to be, or the Georgia players are going to be in the pros, wait till he finds out all the other guys that are all the Alabama and Georgia players, and he's going to get hurt. And so I'm all for I understand the fear about his frame and the fear about his size. What I say back to that is you're not worried about Burrow's frame or Herbert's frame, but they've been hurt twice already. So there's no way to avoid that part of it. Like Burrow is thick, tall, so is Herbert. You're not worried about his frame. Herbert has had broken ribs, had a terrible hand injury last year that's still healing, supposedly. Like, he's been hurt multiple times. Burrow has missed good long portions of 2 of his 4 seasons. So, like, there's no way to hide somebody from the injuries, which is why I'm less concerned about it as long as he learns how to protect himself better. I don't want RG3 again, and I don't want Hal again.
That's right.
Where Hal was putting himself in harm's way to the point where we're going up to him in the locker room going, dude, you don't have to do that. Like, I'm wincing now. I'm wincing.
He needs to watch the Lamar tape.
It's one thing when you pinball at the goal line because you're trying to score.
That's right, of course.
Or you're diving into somebody because you're trying to get a first down. But on 2nd and 10 and you're scrambling and and you only get 3 yards and you're trying to get the 4th and you're taking a body blow from a Pro Bowler, you're out of your mind. Right? Like, go down.
Well, I literally talked about it this morning, filling in for Tony, about how that Haloti Nada hit literally sent a chain reaction that none of us saw happening with RG3.
That's right.
Like,
but
it set it off.
It's a really good reminder. Like, the talent level in the NFL is such a tier above college football. The good thing about what Daniels has seen is the SEC is the closest facsimile to it on a week-to-week basis.
For sure.
So many of those players from Florida, Georgia, Alabama, his team, they're going to be high-end NFL players, high-drafted NFL players. So he's seeing a lot of this, but he's not seeing it on 32 teams where it's all together. And the Haloti Nada hit, to me, is always the symbol of, you think you're fast, but you're not as fast as you think you are in this league, because in this league, even a 330-pound defensive tackle can move a lot faster than you would expect him ever to be able to.
That's right.
And that's the lesson he learned. He got cut in half by that guy.
That knee went in looking away I've never seen before.
Okay, I got to read this one because this is funny. Okay, so Seth Walder, who's been on this show and does all the ESPN analytics, is doing all the algorithms of NFL mock drafts and basically playing the odds of what's going to happen. And one of the questions that he answers is just basically by analytics and data, which quarterback is most likely to be picked at number 2? And wait till you hear this answer, okay? It says, Jayden Daniels, though there's still a fair bit of uncertainty. The model gives the LSU quarterback a 49% chance to be the selection at number 2, with North Carolina's Drake May at 21% and J.J. McCarthy's at 15% respectively. The remaining possibilities consist of Caleb Williams, which they have to because they haven't picked him, he gets factored, and Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr., possibilities that are almost certainly inflated. Any model like this requires uncertainty, though there is little actual doubt that Williams will go number 1 and the Commanders will take a quarterback at number 2. The model believes Daniels has an edge, and he probably an odds-on favorite if we mentally redistribute the Williams and Harrison probabilities, but it's no slam dunk. What he's saying is the number 2 overall pick actually should be Marvin Harrison.
Right.
To anybody.
Right.
Is what it should be. But because they're not going to select a receiver there, he's not going to go there. But this factors in y'all are passing over the best player in the draft.
Yeah, right.
In fact, the Bears might be 2.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
But I thought it was funny that his name popped up because I went, I can't have that. I can't. La, 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 la. Stop.
Could you imagine what the
No
fan
more
base
options.
does?
That would be like, even he might look on his face like, what?
What?
He'd be surprised. It'd be one of those, he'd be like, what?
That would be the most ridiculous pick they could make.
It'd be crazy.
Like, in like within reason. Like, not picking some player we've never heard.
If they picked him, I would be there assuming that you're going to hear about a trade for a quarterback.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It'd be like, where did that come from?
Right.
And I don't even know who that would be. So that's not happening. So
It's also a position they don't need is what I'm getting at, too.
Todd McShay was on somebody's show and said, I think it was on Barstool's show.
Yeah, he's been doing the rounds now.
And he said, of the dozens and dozens of calls, I can't get one GM to tell me that he thinks it's going to be anybody but Jayden Daniels.
Right.
Which is like, film don't lie. When you watch it and knowing what his background is and his work ethic is and what Herm says about him, what Brian Kelly says about him, and I don't know how they would pick anybody else. Just don't ever take him to Topgolf again. And it just seems like a simple answer.
The opposite. I think Topgolf needs to sign him to an endorsement deal.
100%. 100%.
Like, I feel like that's a no-brainer.
I mean, he ought to have his Welcome to Washington celebration party at Topgolf.
I would be rushing him out to wherever they need to get a commercial done today.
The amount of free advertisement they have gotten nationally over the last 5 days, unexpected advertisement. I'd love Ravel, because he's good at this, telling me how much free advertisement did Topgolf get locally and nationally over the last 5 days by being mentioned over and over and over on literally every major platform.
Well, Ravel, he's all about the collective thing. Like, what signs did Topgolf get printed out to welcome all the draft picks there? If you can get one of those signs out of a dumpster somewhere, how much are those worth? Like, welcome Washington, possible Washington draft picks?
I mean, I think they ought to make the Jayden Angry Birds actual game at Topgolf.
Jayden Angry Birds.
Yeah. So here we are, guys.
So there's 2 things I want now. I need a Monumental Opportunity t-shirt still. 2, I need some kind of signage from the Topgolf rookie or, future draft pick outing. They had to have gotten something printed up for that.
They have to.
Because they probably rented the whole place out, right? Like, there's no way.
They've got to make, I would think. There's no way.
There's no way you could bring all of those guys there. That would be a mob scene.
Yeah.
Closed for a private event.
You would have seen it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
On social media. Like, there would have been a million people going, like, I was just happened to be at Topgolf on a Wednesday when
I guess
every really good draft pick showed up at the same time.
I've not been to the one in Ashburn. I guess you could rent out a whole entire floor, right?
Oh, I think you're closing that place down.
Okay. No, that's fine. Like, but
I don't know how even if it's just for an hour or 2.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. People would be trying to climb up the tiers to get clips of them on their phone. Yes.
Or jumping down.
Jumping down. Once they realize what's going on here. So 2 days away. Breer says he thinks it's Jayden. Schrager says he thinks it's Jayden. Schefter won't say buy the jerseys again.
Yeah, because
he says
he botched it.
He thinks it's Jayden. The Pats are talking about being open to trading because they know it's not Jayden.
Right.
I think they'd take him. Well, I think they'd be closed for business if Washington was taking Mayor McCarthy.
Well, I think now it's a legitimate. I got to see what the Vegas odds are to if you can actually do this. If the Giants want Drake May that bad, that's a perfect scenario for the Patriots.
I would trade out.
They could trade out,
but they got to know they're doing it.
Of course, because the 2 teams ahead of them are the Cardinals and the Chargers,
who are not taking quarterbacks.
Now, you'd have to hope that no one's jumping you to get JJ.
Then you got to watch the Vikings.
Yep.
Because the Vikings probably want JJ. I bet are happy with JJ. Right. And so they would probably, that's where Arizona's going. Because you'll know he'll go to the Patriots. Therefore, you got to jump him with either the Chargers or the Cardinals. And in the Cardinals case, the Cardinals are sitting pretty here. They can get a crazy haul or take Marvin Harrison.
Right.
They're in a no-lose situation here.
Can I tell you what I think would be the best scenario ever? Okay, normal. The draft goes as normal. It goes Caleb Williams, of course. Jayden Daniels here. Patriots trade out to the Giants. They take Drake May because that's who they want. Arizona takes Marvin Harrison. Then it goes to the Chargers. Chargers get a trade call, and it's the Cowboys. And the Cowboys take JJ.
See, I'm telling you, I'm going to talk about that next,
and then all of a
too.
sudden, you're heading into the next year with three top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC East next year.
I said this a month ago. Watch them. They need a quarterback for next year. They're slow rolling this Dak thing big time. Like, don't be shocked. Like, they don't typically do this, but don't be shocked when they turn around and basically draft his replacement.
You can't tell me, too, by the way, that Jera is hearing all of this and hearing about how
all in.
Well, not even that. About how JJ plays whatever way they want, how he has this kind of leadership moxie that everyone loves. Like, all I'm saying is Jera, I think, could be hearing the noise and falling in love with this dude and going, and I don't have to trade into the top 3 picks. I could probably get him at 5 if the Patriots end up trading down or whatever.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Michigan quarterback goes to the Cowboys. That's just, I'm sorry, it's kind of perfect. So
I agree, but like 2 years from now, mark the date, you will hear Stephen A. Smith go, J.J. McCarthy stinks. He stinks. And the Cowboys have to draft his replacement today, not tomorrow. Today, because J.J. McCarthy stinks.
It's pretty good, Stephen.
I know.
That's a pretty good one. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be that good.
It's pretty good.
You pulled it off pretty well.
I did all right on that one.
But then imagine that, though. Jayden here, Drake May on the Giants, JJ on the Cowboys. That's a pretty ridiculous NFC East going into the next couple years.
That would be fun.
Yes, I agree. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I want
as
that.
much as I'd be worried about it, it'd be a bloodbath for the next 5 years, hopefully.
I hate Dimes. I want him out of
so
here.
do I.
He's infuriating.
He sucks
to
and
me.
he beats us.
He sucks and he beats us.
It's the worst combination in the world.
Terrible. And he's going to be wearing those dumb jerseys this time, and he's going to beat us in that.
I'm just saying, that'd be fun. And the Patriots would be like, oh, crap. Because then they'd have to take Penix or something. Like, they'd have to take someone else at 6.
And then the Eagles somehow, in the next 2 years, trade up and get the best of the best.
I was going to say, they dropped Bo Nix in the 2nd round.
Yeah. No, actually, they'll give it a year or two. They'll see how it shakes out, and they'll go, all right. And whoever is Caleb Williams 2026 goes rolling into Philadelphia.
15 first-round picks stacked up at that point, too.
That's right. All right, I want to talk about Dak and that Cowboys theory, which I actually don't think is preposterous at all. Brave Washington Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. All right, so I want to go back to the thing you brought up, which would be total chaos, which is somehow Dallas trades in, gets J.J. McCarthy. The Giants, who we think like Drake May, somehow get him because the Patriots are willing sellers at number 3 and moving down to 6 for them. Might not be that big of a deal.
That's right. And by the way, that's coming from Renan. Like, that's not just like some Twitter floating out there. He said that on his podcast today.
And then obviously we're going to hopefully at that point take Jayden Daniels. So we could have 3 of the top 4 quarterbacks coming off in the division.
Yes, which would be awesome.
Right. And I said this a few weeks ago. I go, I'm watching them. Mm-hmm. They don't normally do this. They're not a trade-up team. I think the last time they picked a quarterback in the first round was Troy Aikman.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
It's something like that. It's around that. Like, it's actually rare that they actually do it. They don't really do it. They have found their quarterbacks at different points. Tony Romo was a late-round draft pick. Dak Prescott was a mid-round draft pick. Quincy Carter was a second-round pick.
Okay,
he was not a first-round pick.
That's the one I was wondering. Okay.
He was a second-round pick. And then who else?
Let's see. Hold on.
I mean, everybody else who ended up playing, some of the ones like older, like Berline was brought in from other places. They're typically homegrown quarterbacks for them, but they're typically not first-round picks, actually. They don't have a history of picking first-round pick quarterbacks.
I don't think you want to hear the 1961 draft.
Well, no. Since Aikman, I don't believe there's been a first-round pick on a quarterback by them. Now, obviously, they didn't do it for 10 years because he was the starting quarterback there. So you could go all the way down basically to the mid to late 90s to see if there was one, but I don't believe there is one since him.
It looks like the only quarterbacks taken in the first round ever for them, Aikman in 89.
Yep.
Craig Morton in 1965.
He had a great career.
Calvin Hill in 1969.
What was Roger Staubach? Was he not a?
Must not.
He was not a.
one.
He was not
Wasn't
a
a first round
He
pick.
wasn't a first round pick.
Yep.
That's interesting. Maybe. Well, he went into the Navy, so I bet there was some kind of complicated thing about him because he served. So I think he went into the Navy, and then if the draft situation was probably different back then. I wonder if he was allocated to them or not. I don't know.
He was. I'm looking it up here now. I don't. It doesn't have his draft.
Andy's yelling at the radio
Yeah,
right now, going,
he's
"I know the
screaming-
answer to this."
Screaming at us.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, so I'm right. All right. So the last first round pick used on a quarterback by the Cowboys is Troy Aikman, 1989.
First round pick. Yeah.
First round pick.
He was a 10th round quote future selection by the Cowboys in
Roger
1964.
Staubach.
Yeah. So
because he was serving.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
He went to the Naval Academy, then he served. Okay. All right. So I've felt this way for a while. Once Dallas decided not to extend Dak before free agency, which would have allowed them to do the all-in thing they were talking about, which would have freed up cap room to potentially make their team better. They made a decision not to do this. We talked about this a lot, and I don't believe it's the wrong decision. I actually think they should let it play out because he's one of those quarterbacks that's very good, but they haven't won yet with him. He's just getting older, and when you have a quarterback that's making $50, $60 million a year, it limits what you can do with the other players on your team. So you have one final run with him. Now, the tricky part is their team is worse.
Yeah.
And Jerry Jones, we heard this before we were coming on before the show, and he's going, we're all in, we're all in, we're all in, when they didn't add to their team and actually lost a lot of people.
That's right.
They let Michael Gallup walk. They let Tony Pollard walk. They didn't replace either one of those guys. I don't know who their starting running back is at this point. Their receiving core is not as good as it was.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks is probably a short-termer there, just in general, because they got to pay CeeDee Lamb at some point. And they have a couple spots with young guys, like a tight end, where they're pretty good. But Tyler Biotish ended up walking.
Yeah.
Their offensive line, Tyron Smith is gone. Like, they're a very different team. And to pretend that they're going to be as good, you have to bank on, like he said, we want these young guys to step up. And he's, being optimistic. We have a good enough team to win with it. But it's a different team, and you're asking for some inexperienced players to step up big time to be as good. And couple that with their defensive staff got raided. So, like, are they going to have the same output of turnovers and sacks and all the things they've been really good at in their ranking when Dan Quinn isn't there anymore? I guess we'll see, because they have a whole new defensive staff that's walked in. And, of course, if they start 1-3, people will start asking for McCarthy's head.
That's right. Yes.
So, to me, they've been a secret one to watch Thursday night. Like, they scream drafting their next quarterback.
Yep.
Now, the problem they have is like what everybody has. It appears as if the top 4 are going to go in the top 10. And then if you want Penix, well, that'll be up to Minnesota or the Raiders or Denver.
Yep.
Do they like those guys?
Right.
And if they do, well, then now we're talking about you're not getting the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks until you get there. So them moving up, which would be unusual for them to do, and it's a big jump because they're in the 20s.
Yeah, they're 24.
It wouldn't shock me because I feel like they may put their cards on the table here and go, this is Dak's last year.
Right.
We've drafted his successor. They may not try to publicly say it, but they may. And I'm with you. I'm watching them because Jerry's getting older. Jerry wants to win. Jerry ain't going to let Dak walk out the door and not have a successor in place.
Right.
He needs to get on that rookie contract again. Why? He needs a high-level rookie contract again because he's got to pay Micah Parsons. He's got to pay CeeDee Lamb. He's got big salaries popping up here that he can't lose. And the only way to do this is to go get a young rookie quarterback. So them moving up, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, we're not trading with them.
Of course not.
Giants aren't
No,
trading
no,
with
no.
them. So they've got to somehow get to Arizona, the Chargers, or if they like Penix, maybe a little higher. Maybe around the top 10.
Yeah.
And that might be a more reasonable jump. But I'm watching them closely because I think they are a definitive candidate to try to make a move to get a quarterback and get Dak's successor on Thursday night.
The only thing is they have like no extra picks. They just have their normal round, and they have an extra 7th from Vegas, which means you're going to mortgage next year and maybe the year after's draft.
So they
if you're
go
gonna
from
move
the
up.
20s to the teens and give up next year's first-round pick and take Penix.
Yeah, I mean that's
That'll
what it
come
sounds
down.
like.
That
And they also need offensive line help. So I mean,
unless they like Bo Nix, and they could probably.
Bo Nix got drafted by the Cowboys.
I don't think the Cowboys
Steve
fans will
Hiday's
like that.
walking out in the cowboy
Bo
hat
Nix!
and laughing on Friday
Yeah.
morning. I mean, that's we get the rare Stephen A. off-season laughing at the Cowboys video on Twitter that night.
Dak did speak about his future, and this is what he said about it to The Athletic, who attended a cancer gala that he was at and asked him about it. And he said this, "I'm not going to say I fear being here or not. I don't fear either situation, to be candid with you. I love this game, and I love to play, and I love to better myself as a player and my teammates around me. Right now, it's with the Dallas Cowboys. It's where I want to be, and that's where I am, and that's the focus. And after the season, we'll see where we're at if the future holds that, and if not, we'll go from there." He said he's definitely confident that he and the Cowboys could get an extension done. I'm definitely confident. But the confidence was thrown into question over the course of the last month. Owner Jerry Jones says he does not fear having Prescott just play on his last year of his contract, and that the Cowboys had a, quote, mutual understanding with the quarterback that they would not adjust his contract before the 2024 season. So they're going to let him play it out. That's it. Prescott went on to say, honestly, I'm focused on the moment, on the now. If the talks begin and real talks get to happen, sure, we can talk about getting it done. But in the case right now, I'm worried about getting better and being better than I am in this moment. So I'm leaving that up to my agent and Jerry Jones. I don't think they're going to adjust his contract. It's too late. They would have done this by now to help them in free agency. I think they are going to play this out, which they're going to show their cards over the next few days. Because if they draft somebody high, they're telling you what they're going to do. And if they don't, and they try to get how they've done in the past, find their replacement the way they found him, 4th, 5th round, they can paint that as, hey, he's just a 4th, 5th round pick. You know, like, don't, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
No, don't go too crazy over there.
No.
No.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Just walk down the hall. It's right over there. It's right over there, Karen.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So, and I wonder, and then the other hanging chat of the whole thing is Trey Lance.
Right.
We don't know what they think about him.
That is a joker card of all joker cards.
We don't know what they think about him.
Right.
And that could also be one more year of he's hanging around.
Right.
You don't know how they feel about him. I've seen no reporting about him.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
None.
Right.
Which ought to tell you, like, he ain't killing it in practice or they're not pumping him up.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So we'll see. But they are, I'm watching you closely, Jair. I'm watching you closely.
It's actually funny. They've only got, they have to pick up the 5th-year option this year.
Yeah.
Huh.
On Trey Lance.
On Trey Lance. So
and they have till the spring to do it.
Yeah. And
so they don't have to do that.
Right, because his salary goes from $1 million to $22 million next year. So
I wouldn't
they're
do that.
not going to pick that up.
No, they're not going to pick that up. That doesn't mean they can't re-sign him.
No, of course, but I'm just.
But they're not good. I wouldn't. He's not going to play.
If they're
not going to do that. Like if they draft somebody, it tells you everything you need to know about him.
Right.
If they don't draft somebody, you still can't pick it up.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Man, if I'm the NFL, I'm stacking the first half of their season.
Yeah.
Trying to put them all in the pressure cooker.
Yeah, put them in the pressure cooker.
And then if Dak sucks, give him a chance.
Oh, please.
And then because they play easier opponents, he could have them on streaking towards a wild card spot.
Right. And then they get in. It'll be like the Romo thing. Remember, Romo had to cry.
Yeah, right.
It was like, I guess we just have to turn it over to Dak. Here we go, Jim.
Yeah. Oh, come on. That's here we go,
Here
Jim.
we go, Jim.
Here we go, Jer.
Yeah. He's another one, too. What's going to happen with that one? We haven't heard anything about that.
That's true, yeah.
Nance and Romo coming back? Are they going to break that one
We got
up?
Cowboys quarterback questions on and off the field.
All over the place. All right, I want to talk about what happened in Carolina last night. We'll do that next. Bram, watch the show, ESPN 630, Sports Capital. Mike Silver, who actually used to do some work for the Commanders a couple of years ago, is back out in the Bay Area and is put out a report saying that San Francisco is willing to trade Brandon Ayuk, but they want a first-round pick for him. So that would take us off the table on that. Obviously, we're not going to trade our first-round pick for a wide receiver, and I don't think we'll trade a future first-round pick for a wide receiver. And it is rare, as good as I think Ayuk is. Well, I don't know. probably would pick Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison and be very happy just doing that, or even the guy from Washington. I would probably be very happy in doing that, get them on a rookie deal. And I don't know who's going to give him a first-round pick and pay him $28 million a year, which is what he's going to want. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not happening. Yesterday when I was like, I would take him and pay them because we got the cap room to do it, and he used to be teammates with Daniels. Like, I might be okay with this, but I'll give him a late third. Like, that's what I would give him back that one we got for Chase Young. That's what I would give him back. I'd be surprised if anybody gave up a first-round pick for him and had to turn around and pay him.
I'm looking now, just using like the low 20s.
Pittsburgh is like talked about getting him.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's 23. Dolphins are 24. Did you hear your boy McDaniel, what he said about Tyreek after the playoff game?
Oh, I heard you. You're supposed to be the best player in the game.
Like,
why are we paying you all this money?
That's
pretty good. That's pretty. Tyreek Hill also said apparently in the same interview that he wished Deion Sanders was playing because he would have torched him.
Yeah.
Which I was like, yes.
Did you hear what Deion said?
No.
It was pretty much, this is so Deion. He said, we're comparing a moment to a monument.
He's the best. Don't know, you can't.
He's can't miss.
Best.
He can't miss.
He can't miss.
Best.
He is the best. He's the GOAT. He is.
I'm looking here. Yeah, like, are the Ravens gonna do it? Like,
I don't think so.
Like, I think their wide receiver core's set, and how they run that offense is fine.
I don't think so, but they may feel like, you know what? They may feel that way. Like, you know what? Let's just keep trying to go over the top, get over the hump here because we're close.
Like, you know what I would say it would be Houston, but Houston just traded for Diggs, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see it.
I'm just.
But looking. A first round pick and then pay him.
Yeah,
he's not Justin Jefferson.
Right. Eagles just paid their guys, so no.
I'll hear out on Justin Jefferson because he might be the best receiver in the game. I don't know if I'm going to hear it out on him.
Yeah.
That's a high price to pay.
Bills?
I think he's good.
Bills?
Maybe.
Just to replace
But,
Diggs.
they got to pay him.
Right.
They got to pay him, too.
Sure.
Weren't they resetting here?
Maybe they get him, and they're still getting would you say Ayuk's better than Diggs? I would.
At this stage of his career, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm talking like this year.
I think they're a candidate to pick a receiver for sure, whether it's in the first or second round. Like that's got to happen. They don't have any receivers anymore, so they're going to go pick somebody.
I don't think the Rams would, but it would be funny that they're picking for the first time in like 10 years in the first round, and they turn around and flip it for Ayuk. That's division, though, so that ain't happening, actually. They're not going to do that. Yeah, it's not going to happen in the division.
I think the Rams sneakily are going to be better than people think this year. Like, they bulked up their offensive line.
Well, they've also drafted really well, despite not having first-round picks. All those guys are cheap, too.
If Stafford stays healthy, they're sneakily going to be very difficult to beat.
What about your boy, Crazy Jim, out there in Indy?
Irsay?
Yeah.
He just paid Pittman.
They're picking 15th, so what if they did like a kind of a swap or something?
Maybe.
I'm just saying, because that seems like that's something he would do.
I was trade you rocket sciences.
Yeah. My wide receivers are rocket sausages.
Oh, man. Maybe. Let's see. Last night, Archer wanted to turn on the quad box. That was cool.
Yeah.
So we had the quad box going last night.
You can only do that on like Xbox, right? With the
no,
quad
YouTube
box?
TV.
Oh, YouTube TV does let you do it. Okay.
We did it. So we had Maple Leafs, Bruins, Hurricanes, Islanders, Cleveland, Orlando.
That's right.
Okay. And Philly, New York on. It was a pretty good quad box.
It's drugs, yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
So we saw Austin Matthews score the breakaway goal that got the Maple Leafs back into their series. So they're alive. And he had like the all-time reaction, like freaking out of scoring in the playoffs like that.
Matthews is the NHL's equivalent to Curry, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're going to see kids wearing Matthews jerseys, and they don't even know where the Maple Leafs play.
We both laughed at the plight of the Magic because they're just ridiculous. Sounds like the Cavaliers are laughing at them, too.
Yeah.
We were then, we were kind of in the second half of the Knicks-Philly game, but I'll get to that in a little bit because the ending of that was unbelievable. But then you just look up at the top corner. It's 3-0 Islanders.
That's right,
okay?
yes.
And I know who the better team is, right?
Correct,
so I'm just monitoring.
Yeah,
right?
they scored
just, at this point, monitoring.
They scored those three early, which is always a panic.
So then Carolina scored one, and I flagged it because they go to the third, it's 3-1. And I go, we need to keep an eye on this.
Yeah.
And I go, because I've just watched too many sports and I've seen it too many times. They're the home team.
Yep.
All it's going to take is getting it to 3-2. And if they get it to 3-2, all hell's going to break loose, right? And they did.
Yep.
They got it to 3-2. And then the Islanders scored a goal that got called back on a high stick. And it was the right call. It was totally the right call. But it got, like, they made it 3-2, and the Islanders scored a minute later, and they called it back. And I knew what was going to happen. And we went full screen. And I went, watch this. I go, this is sports. Watch this. And it went berserk. And I looked like an evil genius going, you've got to pay attention to this. And by the end of it, because Carolina scored 3 goals in a short period of time, 2 of them in 9 seconds.
Yeah.
And
So they
I'm
scored.
like,
So it's worth saying they scored goal 3 to tie it.
Yeah.
And then the literal face-off after 9 seconds, they score the
Yes.
go-ahead goal.
9 seconds.
And it's at Carolina, so the place was already going berserk, and then
they tied it.
Then it just went. I've never seen a crowd go
went
that
to
crazy
11.
pretty much.
It went to 11. The cutaways of the looks on people's faces. This was, if you went to this game, you're a fan for life.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've said to Archer a lot, I go, listen, my first love is football. It always will be, and there's nothing like playoff football. But I'm like, a close second is playoff hockey.
Yeah, very close.
If you go to a game like that, you will be a fan of that team forever if you see them do that. And the Islanders, by the end of it, they were trying to fight Gensel on an empty net goal where he did nothing wrong. They were trying to fight off the faceoff. The referees had to kick out 7 Islanders players.
Yep.
They're done.
They're
they're not the better team anyway, but they're done. And that was an incredible dad-son moment of where I just went, I think we ought to watch this. Just put this on because I have a feeling this one's going to turn upside down, and it went upside down in a glorious way.
No, it was fantastic. That was the first, like, oh my God moment of the playoffs so far.
Yes.
Like, of just like.
The Matthews goal was pretty good, too.
It was.
2-2 on the road. He gets a great pass. He grabs it with his hand, puts it on his stick, does 8 moves, scores, and then the look on his face is like euphoria. Was amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
That one, though, I mean, just from a pure moment standpoint, that's the best one so far.
Oh, yeah.
Some of us on our show the day before, the night of, said anytime Jake Gensel goal. So some of us were very happy.
Lucky.
At the end of
very
that one.
Lucky.
Very, very happy about it.
Yeah. He did nothing wrong, scored an empty net goal.
Yeah.
This guy was just chasing him going, do you want to go?
Yeah,
you want to go?
No.
It was full on Long Island.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Correct.
You
Yeah.
want to go?
The your boy Rempe was asked about that, about McElrath trying to fight with him at the end of in the third period of the Rangers Caps game. And McElrath was like, he wasn't engaging. And he's like, I wouldn't have engaged either. So basically, he's like, I'm not going to give you any momentum.
Gensel was funny too. You could see him. He's like, what?
Yeah. He's like,
the whole time he's like, what?
Freaking playoffs, bro. What are you talking about?
What did I do?
Yeah.
He didn't even do anything wrong. He was like, what did I do? I got the puck and I scored. What do you want from me?
Best part about that happening, by the way, was Barstool does every time the Islanders have made the playoffs in the last couple of years, because they don't make it consistently, they get the basement of some like small Italian joint. I don't know if it's on Long Island or something, and they do a whole watch party.
Yeah.
The videos of the goals happening, and then the reaction afterwards.
I think even then, when it got to 3-2, they were starting to feel it.
After the second goal, the place is silent.
Silent.
It's always great when it's not you.
The chicken parm's going cold.
Oh, yeah. It's not. You can't get the drinks out fast enough at that
Meanwhile,
point.
it was, for them at least turn on the Knicks game because you were getting a nice surprise.
Full bing bong,
which I'll get to next. Bram Weinstein Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. I got to read this Clarence Hill tweet. He's covered the Cowboys forever down in Dallas. Jerry Jones quote today. We're very proud of this roster. We feel very, very good about the promise of this roster this season. We feel really great about what we've bid in free agency. We're all in. We're all in on the draft. And the Florio tweets that and goes, gaslighting at its best. And the replies to this are amazing. Cowboys fans have to stop supporting the nonsense, shaking my head. If the season stinks or is a heartbreaker, I wish they'd sell the team.
Ooh.
Delusional old man. Don't even let him in the war room anymore. Would you extend Mike McCarthy now? Here comes the quiet tank for Shador Sanders. He's taunting us at this point.
Oh, God.
Make sure you remind him of this after they go 6-11. He must be looking at the 94 media guide.
I mean,
what they've done does make sense. I know you don't like it. It's because his quarterback makes $60 million a year and he doesn't want to extend him at the same price. That's all this is. I don't know why this is. He shouldn't have said the all-in stuff because they were never going to go shopping with their cap situation the way it was.
Not only that, it was really funny there for the Cowboys fans. Kind of embarrassing. Do you realize your team's really good at drafting, and that's why they're in the predicament that they're in? They actually know how to pick talent, and so they have to pay all of these guys. And not only that,
I don't know. What are you complaining about their drafting?
They rarely miss their first-round pick, too. I mean,
last year looks like a miss.
Yes.
He's the D lineman out of Michigan.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, it's early, but, and it's late first round.
Right, but they were due is what I'm saying. They almost always nail that.
That guy didn't play very much.
Yeah.
So that one looks like, and their run defense wasn't great. So that one's looking a little off.
Wasn't that the guy in training camp saying he hates dudes too?
Yes, we liked what he had to say.
So he's all bark,
and he
no
also,
bite.
and he was one of the guys in the combine who was lifting extraordinary amounts of weight, like almost Olympic style. Where you're like, you're super strong. Yeah, he was that guy, and I'm like, oh, great. We got some maniac is going to be their defensive tackle now. But
little Ryan Anderson there.
Who knows? Right? Who knows?
Ryan Anderson was always saying how he hates guys and he loves hitting people.
Yeah.
And,
didn't do so much.
Didn't really do so much of that in the game.
Do so much of it. Yeah. Which was the hard part to deal with. He didn't do so much of that.
He was Doc's favorite player until he actually hit the field.
Peyton Manning says he believes the Broncos want J.J. McCarthy. Makes sense to me.
Okay, but
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to be able to get him.
They're at 12. Well,
right.
Okay. No, game this out. I think we know, Washington's not trading out, and I think they're taking Jayden Daniels, right? New England's now the pivot point. If they trade to the Giants, who supposedly want Drake May, they go back down to 6. Do they want JJ or not? That'll be up to them at that point.
Right.
If they don't, he may fall to them.
Right.
Or they may be able to move up 2 spots, to go get him. So I don't think they're out of the realm of that. I do love the idea of Dallas getting him, and I don't know why. I do love the idea of them moving up and getting him. I don't know why I like that so much.
Because it's Jerry going against pretty much the things that I think Dak are lacking.
Which is?
I think leadership ability. I think it's been in question. I'm not saying he's a bad leader, but I think it's been in question.
I also and this is, come on, be fair here. Those guys went after Dak after the season.
Yes, correct.
In the modern era on social media through family members. But if he had the respect of the room, that wouldn't have happened to the degree that it did. And I know that was a crazy disappointing loss, but they did go after him pretty hard.
But not after this last loss, but the one a year ago. Remember, the official social media put a quote out too, or a Dak didn't play well enough. That was the 49ers loss.
Yeah, Dak didn't play well.
It was something along those lines where they were like, guys, friendly fire here. What are you doing? I'm just saying.
Listen, I'm with you. All right, let's see. Last night, the NBA playoffs had 2 doozies. One, again, the Magic couldn't score 90 points. So if you're not going to be able to score 90 points, you're not going to win very much. And you were telling me there were clips of the Cavaliers players on the bench laughing at
no, that
them?
was a report. It was
a report that the Cavaliers players were laughing at the Magic.
No. They were literally making fun of them.
Just making fun of them.
Yeah,
you guys suck.
Yes. Insulting them.
Yeah. They actually had they were 1 game worse than them in the standings and don't look competitive with them whatsoever.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is one of those you guys cared about the whole season. No one else does. And all the veteran teams show up and they got you and thought that was funny.
Right.
So we're finding out what the Magic are. And I guess if they don't somehow turn it around in game 3, they're done.
Correct.
So that, as expected, that was the series I didn't care about at all. And I can't wait for it to get over.
We can't play the song. We can't play the song yet.
Let's get
guys, get one.
They got the hand on the button and then tears.
Yeah.
Single tear, I can't play the song. The other 2 games were doozies.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the Knicks. Okay. So if the Islanders thing was incredible sports on the other opposite direction, the Knicks thing, and it happening at home, was nuts.
Yep.
They couldn't hit a shot late in the game. Brunson chucks up a 3. it takes the shooter's bounce of all shooters' bounces, hits the front rim, bounces up and somehow goes in, gets them within 2. Then mayhem occurs. And it's like, I don't know, 30 seconds left, whatever it was.
Yep.
They 76ers struggle to get it in. They get it to Maxey. He looks like 5 people hit him. No call is made.
Yeah.
Then he falls down. Then he loses the ball. Then the Knicks, it's scramble mode. They get it to Dante. I can't pronounce his last name. DiVincenzo. He misses a 3 badly. That Hartenstein guy comes out of nowhere, grabs some crazy rebound in between 3 people, somehow dishes it to somebody else who gets it back to DiVincenzo, hits a 3, and then Ben Stiller's going crazy. Stephen A. sitting courtside.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That place is nuts, right? And the place is going completely berserk, and they hold on. And the 76ers got off a really terrible last shot, down 3. Embiid had to shoot something from 30 feet, and he even looked surprised to get the ball. Maxey brought it up. I don't know how Maxey didn't take the shot, but he didn't, whatever. And they got a bad look at the end of the game, and they lost. And so the Sixers fall in. And like all my Bing Bong friends love this team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They're the best.
They're best.
Whole year like this. Brunson's a god.
Nobody props up mediocre teams like Knicks fans.
They are mediocre.
Nobody.
The reality is, because I watch them, I'm watching this, and I'm going, Boston's going to kill them. I think Boston's going to kill them. Where are they going to get offense from against them?
Right.
Where?
Yeah.
How are they guarding Brown and Tatum on the perimeter? They're not. And Brunson is their best player. And Boston's got Drew Holiday, who's like an amazing defensive point guard. They ain't beating them.
Right.
Have your fun, boys. Have your fun. You better hope Boston somehow flames out against, and it's not going to be the Heat because they don't have Butler. You better hope they flame out somewhere else before you get to them because there's no way.
Right.
I don't see it.
Yep.
Like, there's no way. But I'm happy for the Bing Bogs. And there's no place like Madison Square Garden in the playoffs in the NBA.
Of course not.
So they've had 2 doozies, and this one was a killer. That was amazing.
Embiid in postgame, too. I don't know if you saw his clip, like, head in his hands, couldn't look reporters in the eye, was like, we're going to win this series. We've been the better team. And it's like, dude, you can never say that quote when you're down 0-2. No. You can't say it. Like, you just can't. And
well, this one got away from him. I didn't see them complain that much about the non-call at the end. And when you see it, actually, the replay, it actually looks like the right call.
Right.
Like, when he actually fell to the floor, nobody did touch him. He got bumped a little bit getting the ball in the first place, and I suppose they could have called a quick foul there. But they didn't. They let it play out. And when he did fall, it was almost like he was flopping.
Right.
And they let it go, which was surprising because the NBA refs typically don't have that kind of patience with any of that stuff, especially at the end of the game. But they let it play out and they won.
Right.
And if you see the replay, I think the right call was there. And I didn't hear the Sixers complaining all that much about it, actually.
Yeah.
I think when they saw it afterwards, it was kind of like the Caps thing with Iorio. And in real time, it didn't look right. But when you watch it again, you go, all right.
Right.
And in this case, Maxey I think he thought he'd been fouled and was trying to accentuate it and fell on purpose, and he didn't call it. And then all of a sudden the ball's free and it was mayhem.
It was also just one layer of a collapse, too. Like, it wasn't the deciding factor by any means.
You know, the weird part was the 76ers were the better team in the fourth quarter and kept coming back and built a lead. Embiid hit a couple of big shots. Maxey was unbelievable last night, especially in the second half, taking over. And so I'll hear them out on we were the better team, but they blew it in the end.
Right.
And then, once that place turns upside down,
it's mayhem.
It's a bunch of jackals screaming at you from all over the place.
It's the Coliseum.
Yeah, it is. It is the Coliseum. So the Knicks are up 2-0, but I'll hear out the 76ers on this isn't over yet. This one starts in game 3. They obviously have to win it, but they're back home.
Sure.
So they're back home. Then we got Lakers Nuggets last night, which I knew this. I saw it coming from a mile away ago. This series starts tonight. This is the one because LeBron played well in the first game. They're not going to be an easy out. The Nuggets don't look all year haven't looked as dominant as they did a year ago. It's not like they struggled to get here at all. It's not a surprise they had the record that they had. But they don't look like they could win the championship, but they look like they can be had too.
Right.
And this is not the best matchup for them getting the Lakers, honestly, because you get an all-timer. And it's another one. Lakers had them.
Right. Yes.
They had them. And they blew it late, and I will hear them out because if you watch the clips at the end of the game, I don't like how LeBron talked about it, but he's not wrong. while I think the referees were right in the Knicks game, I don't think they were right in the Nuggets-Lakers game. It felt like there should have been a couple of calls. LeBron definitively should have gotten N1 at the end of the game before the Murray shot that beat them. And there were a couple of other plays, like on Reeves late in the game, where there was no calls that they kind of let go. So the referees, that wasn't great.
Not unlike, though, the 76ers game where they didn't complain because it was a one little layer of the entire loss. LeBron, how about you don't blow a 20-point lead and you don't have to worry about that?
I agree. And also, you scored 40 points in the second half.
Yeah.
That's kind of on you, too.
Right. So, like,
40 second half points.
I get what LeBron's saying there, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you did blow a huge lead, and you weren't that good in the second half either. So where does that come into play?
But that was a definitive N1 miss at the end, and I'll hear him on that. Like, that was a missed call, and there were a couple of others late. But I'm with you. Like, they blew a large lead. That's on them. Davis was really good last night. But, 40 second half points. This is the second straight week. They were leading in halftime in game 1-2, and they kind of fizzled down the stretch, and the Nuggets actually ran away from them. What they're not showing the Lakers are staying power. This is the second straight game in the second half that their offense disappeared on them. Mm-hmm. The last one, the Nuggets roared past them, and this one, the Nuggets outscored them 57-40 in the second half. Like that, 40 points, you're not going to win,
right?
Especially on the road.
Yeah.
So I don't feel bad for them, and I don't think they were robbed in any way. But I will hear LeBron out on the calls last night were not great. So I'll hear him out on all that.
Got it.
And then I'll buy into same thing with the Sixers one. Let's see game 3. Mm-hmm. Both those games have been close, so I don't think it's done by any stretch. Let's see when they get to game 3 if the Lakers can make a series out of it. Let's see what we got tonight. All right, so Anthony Edwards got up in Durant's face.
Right.
Last go around. Basically told him, I'm you.
Correct.
Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm you now. I've taken over. Timberwolves looked like the better team by a lot. Edwards completely took over, looked like the best player in the NBA. They got a lot of height that I don't know what the Suns are going to do about it. I mean, they have
Brad,
They got Brad. Get Brad on Cat. We'll see how that works out.
Sure, you'll love playing defense.
Brad, who was an afterthought because I don't think they thought this through. He's the third fiddle by far. Mm-hmm. And like at the end of the game, the ball's going in Durant or Booker's hands, not going to him.
As it should.
Right. So, and as everyone complained about when they acquired him, they were like, what's your team look like?
That's right.
Like this is kind of like early season Wizards where we're like, we don't have a front court player.
That's right.
They don't have, they're kind of a mishmash. They have amazing offensive talents, but if they're not amazing offensive talents, they can get run by a good team, which they did. I expect Timberwolves to win again tonight. I expect them to win this series. Game 1 to me, especially the way Ant played, was a little kind of telling of that's not going to work out for Phoenix. It's just not. It's not going to be a sweep or anything, but them winning in 5 or 6, honestly, doesn't feel that crazy to me. The Suns don't look. Booker had 8 points by the fourth quarter the other day. He wasn't scoring. Durant can't move like he used to. And Beal is Suns, bruh. I mean, that's Suns, bruh.
Did you hear about the in-game entertainment for the Timberwolves tonight, too?
No.
One, Cisco of Thong Song fame is singing the anthem.
Okay. How'd that even happen?
Halftime, Red Panda.
Well, she's making the rounds. She did one recently.
She did.
I've seen her live a couple times.
Oh, so have I. She's undefeated. She's the GOAT. She's the GOAT of halftime entertainment.
I've seen her drop some bowls, though.
That's
People
fine.
let it go.
That's okay. As you should.
People let it go.
LeBron has a bad night every now and then.
One of those. It's also one of those things where I'm like, if you're going to make fun of her for messing that up, I'll give you a year to practice doing that.
To do it once.
Yeah. I'll give you a year to practice it.
Yeah.
You won't be able to do it.
That's right.
In fact, I don't even think you could ride the unicycle.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. She's the GOAT.
I don't even think you could. If you practiced every day, you wouldn't be able to figure out how to do that.
LeBron, MJ, and Kobe all had bad games.
Yeah, that's right.
They're all the best.
Yes.
So I'm just saying.
She's amazing. That's quite a trick.
That's got good vibes tonight, is what I'm saying.
What do they pay her to do that?
She's probably demanding a nice price. I mean, she's known, and people legitimately get excited about I know about it.
It's amazing every time you see it.
Right.
You can't believe it.
Correct.
It doesn't look real. I don't even know how she figured out how to do that.
I think I've seen her in 3 different arenas at this point.
I've seen her at Maryland games.
Yeah, so have I.
Times.
I've seen her at Maryland. I've seen her at Cap One.
Mm-hmm.
I've probably seen her somewhere else.
can't believe that's a full-time job. Just travel around the country doing that.
Just throw bowls on your head on a unicycle.
Off your foot.
Off your foot. No, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to discount it, but that's the old.
What's harder? Hitting a fastball from Garrett Cole or doing that?
Doing that. Because you can
She's
at least
a 101.
You can at least flail and maybe hit the Cole once
She's
out
a
of
101. She's a 101.
Correct.
Nobody else can do that on Earth. There's Cirque du Soleil people going, I can't do that.
Yeah, who's her predecessor? She training somebody?
Wait, who taught
What happens
her?
when she's done?
Right.
No more Red Panda.
Oh, who is she going to? Zachary wants to learn. You picture that? How amazing that would be.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. It would be amazing if he learned how to do that. Rock the Red Panda.
I have no comment.
Let's see what else we got tonight. Pacers Bucks, which I thought would go differently in game one.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, Dame Lillard is still a playoff monster, and the Pacers, like the Magic, seemed not ready for prime time. But without Giannis, I'm still open to the idea that this might end up being a long series and could go Indiana's way just because of how much they scored all year. And the spread seems to feel that way too. You know, Milwaukee's only like a 1.5 point favorite. Right. So like they're basically saying this could go either way. And if the Pacers end up running them off the court a couple times, that actually wouldn't surprise me. So I bet this ends up being a long series if Giannis isn't coming back.
I do find it funny how quick like just a pedestrian regular season makes everyone forget what you can do in the playoffs. And Dame was like, yeah, watch this, guys.
It's just another sign of that these guys don't care about the regular season.
Right, correct.
They don't.
Yeah.
So the regular season is a nothing burger.
That's right.
You just have to get in. And then the last one tonight, 10 p.m. tip-off, Mavericks and Clippers. Clippers won game one without Kawhi Leonard. He's not playing tonight, right? Have they said? I haven't seen.
I haven't seen anything.
I haven't seen if he's playing tonight or not. Clippers won relatively handily without him. Harden was really good. But again, I'll point this one out. Spread also.
He's questionable.
Spread 1.5. Again, so Vegas didn't read too much into game one.
Yeah.
That's another one. If Kawhi's not going to be healthy, I don't trust Harden to carry them. So I would think that the Mavericks in the end will end up winning that series, but who knows? And that's going to be, if Kawhi is barely plays or is, marginally effective in this and the Mavericks lose, that's going to be very telling about them.
Agree.
Like extremely telling about them.
Mm-hmm.